Okay, last section. So far in Chapter 4, we've been dealing with quantitative variables, plots x and y, and you get a point and you do some analysis with that. What if we have qualitative and two qualitative characteristics of a person? How can we determine if they're associated, or what would that look like? So we're not going to go as in depth with calculations this time in terms of a statistic that we're going to calculate, but we are going to learn some ways to analyze a relationship between two qualitative variables. Excuse me. So one of those is we're going to look at a marginal distribution and a conditional distribution. So I have a few years ago I did a survey of some basic algebra students and had them just answer a bunch of questions, and one of them was that they enjoy math. And these are the responses that I got, and I broke it down by gender. So I have men and women and whether they strongly agree, neutral, disagree, or strongly disagree. So one of the issues when you're looking at a table like this is you can't just look at absolute numbers, because in this particular sample you can see here that all of the ones that are men are smaller because there are less men. So we really need more information. We need some other way to get that, maybe percentages. So a marginal distribution is a frequency or relative frequency distribution of either like by men, so the distribution of what percentage of men, or if you look at strongly agree, what percentage of strongly agree were men. So you can go by row or you can go by column. So if we look at the marginal frequency distribution by sex, then we have the marginal distribution by the response. So either way, you can either go by row, and this would be by sex or gender. I guess sex, well, it's not really clear, right? So when you look at men and women, this is a little sidetrack. there's your biological sex, and then there's your gender. They're actually two different variables. Very similar. For most of us, they're the same, but they're technically not the same variable. And then we have by the response here, so the total marginal frequency distribution by response. Then what we can do is we can look at the combined marginal relative frequency. So there are 82 total responses. 30 out of 82 were men, 52 out of 82 were women, and then again here 21 out of 82 strongly agreed, 31 out of 82 agreed, etc. And I think I did, nope, I didn't do percentages there. So you could make these into decimals, and do a relative frequency. So those are the marginal relative frequency. Okay, the next one is a conditional distribution, and this is the one that I always have to think really carefully about. This is where you're just looking in a row, how are they distributed in a row or in a column. So here what we're doing is we're looking at the conditional distribution of sex by how the student feels. So if we look under strongly agree, how are the sexes distributed? Well, 9 out of 21 are men, 12 out of 21 are women. And so you're looking, the total is by how the student feels. So how the student feels is where your totals are. That's the one where I did the decimals. I knew I did the decimals on one of these. So these should all add up to 1, because this is the distribution by how the student feels. So 43% of those that answered strongly agree were men. 42% of those that answered agree were men, etc. And then we can do the other way. Oh yeah, so there's a graph here. This is a side-by-side graph, the conditional distribution. And this can really help you see differences where you can see under strongly agree they were about the same, but then as we went over under strongly disagree, the greater majority of those that strongly disagreed with that statement were women. All right, let's see. Let me see if we can do this. I did this when I was preparing for this, but I prepared for this like a week ago before I did this video. So let's see if we can create a contingency table for the number of desktops by phone operating system. So I've got a bunch of tabs here, too many really. Let's close some of these. So under our groups we've got, there we go, our class sample data. And let's see if I can remember how to do this. So not under data, it's under stat, tables, contingency with data. Okay, and what did we want? We wanted to do number of desktops by type of phone operating system. Okay, so let's do this. We've got, I think I want phone operating system to be row variable, so we'll have the different rows will be the different phone operating systems, and then columns will be the number of desktops. Okay, and then I think what I want, let's see, we want, hold on, let me go back here. We want the distribution of the number of desktops by phone operating system. So phone operating system is going to be the row. We want to display the row percent. This test here, we're not going to talk about this test till chapter 12. I'm just going to leave it there for now. I don't think there's a way. Is there a way to take it off? Yeah, see, there's no way to take it off. Okay, so let's see if this works. Hit compute. Okay, I think this works. So under Android, we wanted the distribution. Let's go back to the presentation. We wanted the distribution, the conditional distribution of the number of desktops. So how are the number of desktops distributed? By the phone operating system. So for Android, 44% had one desktop. But for iPhones, only 29% had one desktop. And here's the total. We didn't have any other operating system. We just had Androids and iPhones. So that's what we did. We did the conditional distribution of the desktops by the phone operating system. So if your brain is a little like, I'm not sure I just followed that, it's understandable. It takes a lot of practice to get comfortable with this. You saw me thinking about it. I'm like, okay, which one do I want to do? So you have to be really careful. I'd encourage you to do some practice. There are links in the notes as well, in the online notes on the web page, where you can look at some examples and try some and really practice those, so when you get to the next test, you'll be comfortable making those tables. So I think that is it, the last video from chapter 4.